Okay, so good evening, everyone. This is Street Dance in Focus Practices, Communities, and Futures in Australia, a recent street dance survey that was published by Cypher Culture. I'm going to be going through this piece of research because I know none of y'all are actually going to read this shit. I'm going to review it, and I guess I'm just going to talk about my experience as well within Australia's dance scene, compare and contrast, and whether if my anecdotes sort of are similar to the actual evidence and results of the survey. So before we start, let's look at the key findings and sort of the summary of this survey. This is Creative Australia's key findings, but I've also got my own key findings, the key findings that I'll show you guys soon as well. And then we'll sort of go through the meat and potatoes of this research. The Australian dance community surveyed is typically young, female, identifying, and living in metropolitan locations. This, I feel like, is somewhat true. I mean, some of the limitations of the survey is that those who were more chronically on Instagram had more easier access to the survey and were more pressured to fill it out. The survey sort of says that the face of Australian street dance is young and female. Street dance community has high rates of participation from women at 54% and overwhelmingly live in big cities: Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. So 54 participation rate from women is nothing crazy, to be honest. That's almost as close to a 50-50 split as you would want. Majority of participants self-identified as belonging to culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds at 64%. That's pretty expected as well. A lot of diaspora communities participate in street dance, and obviously hip-hop and street dance having Black, Latino, migrant roots. So, I mean, it only makes sense. Almost half of the street dancers surveyed were born outside of Australia, with a large number coming from, and we'll take note of this later, Philippines. Okay. My swagapinos, we will be eating well. China, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Japan, Malaysia, that's me, and New Zealand. Finding number 3, street dancers are highly engaged in their local and global communities. I think the local community engagement now is a bit better than what it was maybe a couple of years ago. Frequently attending street dance events, both interstate and internationally. Okay. Over half of surveyed street dance participants are frequent attendees at street dance events, reporting they attend free community or paid events at least once a week. Okay. Street dancers are avid consumers of the arts. I would hope that my fellow street dancers are avid consumers of the arts. I mean, last key takeaway is street dance community wants to increase their participation in street dance, either to realize personal aspirations or to foster connections with the community. So it's good. I mean, this is sort of where the ethos and the motivation for most dancers here lie. Not everyone's trying to become a full-time Olympian triple backflip god of dance. Everyone kind of just wants to connect with each other, and that's fine. I would say that the Asian diaspora community in Australia, I feel like, has done maybe a bit of a better job of accepting hip-hop and street dance culture at large, hence why there are more Asian people in the community. This is sort of something that you can kind of see when you go to any session. It is culturally diverse. White people are a minority when it comes to practice sessions and events and things like this. To be honest, I feel like this is sort of the case because maybe ethnic minorities, Asian diaspora communities didn't really have that much of a good time fitting into the mold of white Australian society. Can we say that, guys? I think we can say that, yeah. This survey also interviewed 2 prominent dancers in Australia. We got Amanda from Sydney, famous Amanda of Red Bull Dancer Style fame, and The Flood, this dude Max from Queensland, who is doing his own thing. My thing is, we are now coming to a point where the young are becoming the old. In Amanda's interview, she talks about being the sort of young kid in Canberra, and it's coming to the point where now I was once a young person at practice. I was the youngest kid at practice at 15, 16. Now I go to practice and I'm the old guy. I am 26, and so a lot of my peers who are once the youngest people at practice are now the oldest people at practice. This kind of puts us in a funny little predicament where, well, we kind of just have to pave the path, and now we kind of just have to disperse our knowledge. So that's kind of interesting here. This report, I feel like, is going to be read by people who will be receiving a lot of pitches by street dancers. It's a report to help market street dance, in my opinion, sort of to maybe act as a guideline to arts organizations who want to work with street dancers and hire street dancers for their productions. Make street dance more palatable for the traditional arts sector, for the arts organizations, and I feel like I don't think this is worth taking extremely seriously. From my perspective, from my standpoint as a breakdance YouTuber, I'm not going to put too much weight into this. The report, I feel like if I was a arts organization worker, a producer, an exec, C-level type guy, I feel like the face of street dance is going to be female, queer, and Asian. And I feel like if you're one of these things, I feel like I am probably going to more likely give you my money. Dance in Australia has a surprising new casual audience. This is something that I feel like I've realized maybe within the past 4 or 5 months, maybe even with my own YouTube channel here as well. Surprised this channel even got the views, Amanda's clip got hella views as well. Maybe my question now is, if there is this new casual audience that I am so mysteriously talking about, how can we capitalize and mobilize this new audience to actually contribute to the community/industry? This is another task and challenge that I feel like we're going to be giving ourselves over the next 5-6 years as the young become old. Last but not least, for the Jafri takeaways, we have street dance versus the favorite child of contemporary dance. This is probably more common. Street dance versus the favorite child of contemporary dance. This is probably common around the world, but, we're basically competing for the same funding and for the same monetary resources, and I feel like we don't really need to do this. I also don't really like the fact that we are also trying to make ourselves really clear from the contemporary dance space, considering a lot of street dance styles, virtually all the street dance styles, were birthed within the last 100 years, which by definition makes them contemporary. I just don't really like the separation. I feel like it's a bit strange. And also, when we talk about the whole diaspora community, Asian street dance nerdy kid versus the favorite rich white contemporary kid who went to art school, it's night and day here. So I don't know, this is a thing. This is a thing that I feel like I see within Australia's dance scene, and I just don't like the fact that we have to latch onto the contemporary dance world to make ourselves known. I think it's a bit weird. And so I want more people to do their own thing, as I am trying to do myself with this YouTube channel. Anyways, so that was the quick cap. Let's go actually into the report itself. Okay, here's something that I wanted to talk about. More than half the people that responded to this survey were hip-hop dancers, and the next largest group being popping, then house. So are half of all the dancers in Australia hip-hop dancers? No. But are there a large proportion of popping and house dancers within the big 3 metropolitan cities? Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane? Most definitely. Sydney is known for popping and Melbourne is known for hip-hop. So pretty reflective of the scenes here, in my opinion. Another claim that not enough spots to train, practice, or jam is a major barrier to practicing. So it wasn't just me in my little Raygun video claiming that IMAX was fucked. I think a lot of other people feel the same. 44% train every 2 to 3 days, which is pretty good. Let's get those numbers up, guys. But obviously, gotta find work. 68% travel interstate and 41% travel internationally. This is one stat that kind of blew my socks off. 41% dancers traveling internationally. That doesn't seem that reflective. I feel like the number was a lot less. I would expect maybe numbers of 15 to 25%, but 41% is pretty fucking huge. So supposedly we have international presence. I don't feel that way, but 41%, sure, why not? We have 62% of people who did the survey are willing to pay for content, which is interesting. Like I said, this growing increase of this casual dance audience is interesting to me, especially those of which who are willing to pay for content and videos and classes and things like this. Not all dancers or communities across the country may have been reached or represented. This is most definitely true in my opinion. I didn't take part in this survey, so that's on me. Survey aims to establish a starting point from which the Australian street dance community can be made more visible to the wider art sector. Yes, made more visible. I think that's a good way to put it. I don't like the fact that This assumes that street dance is invisible. I'm actually really sick of being the fucking, oh yeah, the street dance dude that's very misunderstood. Okay, Australia's street dance community is characterized by a diversity of forms and their associated styles. You can say that about basically any major country in the world. Okay, we did all this stuff before. While few are making a full-time career of street dance in Australia, many express a desire to spend more time on their practice and engage in high-profile opportunities. Yes, most do it for fun. This 65% is probably higher than you would get from most other countries with developed scenes and dancers who are already doing it for work. So again, fun, casual vibes. That's kind of the name of the game here in Australia right now, in my opinion. Most common working arrangement is working freelance or self-employed. Yes. Okay. More than 1 in 5 respondents applied for government financial assistance, such as grants, awards, and residencies, and etc., etc. So small proportion are applying for funding, but not everyone is applying for funding. Okay, so here are definitions, baby definitions of each style. You know, this was obviously made for the art exec who doesn't know jack about culture. This is good here. I like this point. Australia's street dance scene is, in comparison, mainly characterized by a range of grassroots initiatives, performances, events, and a growing sense of identity. Like I said before, the young are becoming the old, and what I mean by this is that also the young are also becoming wise and are starting to discover their own sense of identity and individual style. And we are maybe starting to see the beginnings of Australian style or dancers who really embody a unique style that is, I wouldn't say very different. I would say the differences are minute, but they are becoming more distinct with Australian dancers versus dancers from Europe, dancers from the UK, dancers from Asia. I think distinction is slowly starting to become more prominent in Australia. Anecdotal evidence suggests that the Australian street dance community faces challenges accessing professional infrastructure and financial assistance. This is true. This has been true for the past decade, so nothing new there. Like I said, there's a big growing casual audience, but how many people are practicing, how many people are actual practitioners, that's a different story, I feel like. So yeah, very small sample size. So again, glean information, but let's not read into this too much. State location, we've got 38% from Vic, 23 from New South Wales, and 17 from Queensland. This makes sense here because cypher culture is Victoria-based, Melbourne-based, so the survey probably would have had more traction within Melbourne as opposed to the other states. More respondents from South Australia than from Western Australia, which is a little bit disappointing, I can't lie. My Perth soldiers are not pulling up for this survey, so fair. We have our first interview, our first case study with Mr. Floodman, or The Flood. Maxwell the Flood Douglas began dancing in 2012 following the 2011 Brisbane floods. Ipswich was hit particularly hard, with 25% of the region being submerged. Recounting memories of living out of shelters, robberies, and other unsettling circumstances surrounding the disaster. That's when I started dancing. It was an outlet for me in a hard situation. Seeing the potential of various dance forms, he fostered new connections while carving out his style. Doing so, the Flood drew from many styles that lent his work energy and expressive power. Became the foundation for a new style of movement he later named Flood or Flooding. The emergence of a new dance style, Flood/Flooding. Flood/Flooding is born from the raw memory of the 2011 floods and devastation channeled into a physical language that draws on both personal and collective experience. Flooding often sees the body take on distorted and grotesque characteristics to help make manifest expressions of these troubling times. Now, I know a lot of you purists will say that there is nothing new under the sun. Again, it's all about seeing how this plays out, seeing how distinct flooding can make itself from the other styles and the sort of backlash that it might receive from international audiences. It's nice to see that people are hype about it. I can't help but think that maybe this isn't something entirely new within even the realm of fine art and dance as an expression. Flood has evolved and been shaped by participants over the 5 years. Flood has watched the form gain momentum across Australia. He states that internationally there has been some pushback to the new style, with some people commenting online, "This is not street dance." The Flood remedies this tension by recognizing that this response has ultimately pushed the conversation around Flood further, enabling its visibility in other ways. Screw the haters. Welcome to the club, Flood. You can join the ranks of hated Australian dancers up there with Team Cream and Raygun. We were funded by Ipswich City Council to fly over to New Zealand to teach flooding. I was already invited, but I put in the funding application to bring other dancers over to help teach. This is kind of my thing with city councils. They aren't really willing to take risks on dancers unless the dancers have already proven a good track record. And so I feel like this is kind of proven true in this case study. He already got funding because he was already successful in securing a teaching opportunity. So there's that. I just can't help but think that sometimes people are only about this shit because it's trendy and because it's the new thing to do. Maybe I would hope that over the years there becomes genuine interest and genuine methodology when it comes to flooding with its own foundation. Okay, in the next 5 years, if it keeps going this way, flood could become a full scene in Australia where there are multiple crews in different places. Okay, so yes, snapshot at flooding, the cool new thing. Hip Hop 56, Popping 24, House 24. Yes, makes sense. House, I feel like is a bit high actually. I'm not too sure about Sydney's house scene. I know Sydney's house scene is pretty active. I want to say as well, when it comes to these three things, hip hop dance, I feel like out of all of these street dance styles is the most commercially viable. Hence why I feel like it has such a high participation rate. I feel like house music is probably just as commercially viable as hip hop, maybe a little bit less. And house, I feel like because the music form or the music style is so accessible and so easily consumed worldwide, I think house dance hence is more easily accessible because the music is more easily accessible. I mean, you can go to a club and listen to house music all the time in Australia. Every weekend there's a new venue playing deep house and house cuts. There are not many venues in Melbourne that are playing Wu-Tang or Cool Keith or Eric B. and Rakim on the regular. Is maybe my explanation as to why these numbers are like this. Especially house. I know a lot of people were surprised that house was quite high, considering that not many house people make themselves known at open styles battles. House isn't really a battle style anyway, so that's fair. But even just coming to a jam or coming to a battle and just ciphering, I think would be a good way to show face for the house scene. And here is the bar graph below. Pretty staggering hip-hop representation here in this survey. Becoming established, I feel like the whole of Australia is just trying to become established, to be honest. I think very, very select few dancers are established, and that's even kind of stretching it within the street dance community. Yeah, I think Australia as a dance community is establishing itself. That's what I think, at least. Okay, attendance and travel. Yes, people be traveling and shit. International travel, I feel like, was particularly high, surprisingly. I don't really see that much footage of people battling internationally, but again, like, I think this international travel has more to do with just going and practicing and taking jams and workshops and things like this. I don't really think that many people travel internationally specifically for battles beyond a small handful of us here in Australia. Engagement with street dance content online, Instagram and YouTube. The most popular. Okay, here we go. We have another spicy interview or case study. This is a regional and metropolitan divide with Amanda Vandekler. Amanda Vander. So I don't know if ACT to New South Wales is a regional and metropolitan divide, considering that Canberra is a pretty well built up city. I mean, Canberra is like fucking walkable, so I don't know how you can call Canberra or the ACT regional in this case. Amanda discovered her passion for hip hop in Canberra, where she first took a class with a friend. At the time, Project Beat Studio was the meeting ground for most of the Canberra street dance scene. I feel really grateful because I watched it grow from something small into something bigger. So at least it grew. I think that's good here. quickly refined her skills and knowledge of hip hop dance, distinguishing herself as one of the most proficient dancers in the territory. However, Amanda's skills came with opportunities and challenges due to ACT's smaller size and scale. As a small state, we didn't have access to a lot of information or a lot of other teachers. I was a beginner myself, but then teaching other beginners how to dance. Teaching hip hop a year after she started practicing. Due to the ACT's limited infrastructure for the hip hop dance scene, Amanda sought out opportunities in Sydney to develop her professional practice. People weren't willing to pay for my petrol or flights to come interstate. Yes, because no one has money. And staying in Canberra meant there is no way I'm actually going to be able to pursue this professionally. Okay, cool. Deciding to relocate to build connections, enhance her practice, and grow her professional opportunities. After moving to Sydney, Amanda's skills were quickly recognised at the 2025 Red Bull Dance Your Style event in Sydney, where she was invited to participate as a battle guest, and she recalled, "The exposure that event gave me was crazy. I went overnight from 2k followers to 36k, and that was just from the Red Bull event. That was all from being in Sydney." So yeah, one clip changed Amanda's life. Amanda considers media, okay, this is keyword, guys, media visibility a critical part of developing a professional repertoire in today's digital economy. In layman's terms, or in Jafri's terms, YouTube a critical part of developing a professional repertoire in today's YouTube. She's totally right. I mean, I feel like this YouTube channel somehow is helping me develop a professional repertoire in today's digital economy, I guess. She's not wrong there at all. I am a media person, I guess. I'm a media guy now. And this channel has definitely helped to increase visibility of me as a dancer. People at practice, like I said, are starting to recognize who I am. And again, people who didn't say hi to me at practice or at jams now say hi to me because they saw my ray gun video. So yes, it is true. Making videos and posting videos online actually helps you become more recognizable within the scene and within the world. Amanda is definitely eating well with her classes, having pretty good turnouts of 20 to 40 people per week. So I am very glad that someone finally was able to cash in on a viral clip. Not Raygun, in the post Raygun era, I would say. Here we go. We've got some information about barriers to practicing. Those find it pretty hard to find time to practice because why? Yes, so time and space. Time, space, and money. The big three are barriers to practice. I feel like you can say this instead of time, maybe hard to find energy. You can always make time for things that you love. Health, physical, mental as well. Barriers. Training is not like incredibly easy to do as a community. A lot of us have like our own private spots and our own practice spots if you're really serious about dance, but in Melbourne we don't have any like massive community squares made for people to dance besides Argyle Square and IMAX. Most street dance community members surveyed only dance for fun or leisure, which is you're allowed to do things for fun and leisure, so I'm not going to be mad at this. So grant writing is a hard thing for many to wrap their heads around. Maybe not grant writing per se, but maybe getting accepted for a grant that you wrote is a hard thing. Speaking from personal experience. Barriers to professional development. Priorities have changed in life, so I'm no longer seeking them. It was too hard to make a stable income from freelancing. Yes, pretty rare for people in general around the world to make money from just dancing as a freelancer. Lack of confidence and lack of necessary qualification and skills is also a pretty big factor. Again, when most people are dancing for fun, yes, you can kind of say these things are a hindrance in developing a professional practice. In my personal experience, I guess I am trying to do the whole professional dancer thing, but my professional dance career will probably look very different from your typical professional dance career. I feel like this is really high actually, with the amount of funding that goes through the arts here in Australia. So yeah, maybe give us some of that pie. So people are getting paid, not that much, but a sizable percentage of people who are applying for funding are getting paid, so that's good. Okay, a lot of them got... Most common barrier is not knowing where to find funding. Yes, because I feel like funding opportunities are hidden like a needle in a haystack. I feel like I'm not a good enough dancer to receive funding. The asshole in me wants to say skill issue, but this isn't necessarily to do with feeling like not good enough of a dancer, but maybe not feeling like the dance that you do is commercially viable or accepted in industry. Maybe that's a better way to put it. You know, don't worry about being not good enough, man. Fuck that. Feel like I don't deserve it because I work full-time, not established enough in my dance practice. Other artists who work full-time jobs and are not established in their own artistic practices are also getting funded though. So yeah, like I know theater people who work as lawyers and shit and they get funded. So man, get your fucking bag, bro. Obtain the bag no matter what, guys. Okay, we're on the home stretch. I know I've been fucking rambling for ages, so let's wrap this up. Okay, this is kind of important, I feel like. Some feel like the process is too arduous and confusing, as one respondent explained. Confusing and time-consuming, feels high effort for a small chance of a payout, with high friction and barriers to entry. So, based on the stats, if you are one of the 9% who apply for Creative Australia funding with a 46% success rate, it can feel like you are putting a lot on the line for a very marginally small payout based on the amount of effort that one would put in to write a grant to get referrals and things like this. It's so bloody hard. I've honestly given up on any kind of funding, and all my recent expenses for dance I've just paid from my own pocket after working multiple jobs. That can be said about a lot of people. Yeah, so I mean, when I'm really thinking about it, it's like, what type, like, how are we going to market our dance to the Divine Arts Council so that they can give us money to do our shows? I don't know if this is really an audience that I want to find myself pandering towards, and so I am here on YouTube. Okay, yeah, this is Demi from So You Think You Dance fame. I was on the first season, and I think Australia really liked my story because I was a self-taught dancer. I'd never been into studios or done the classes thing. I taught myself and learned from my culture, the cyphers, other b-boys and b-girls, and the show supposedly changed a lot for Demi's life. I think Demi is still teaching dance classes to this day and doing dance gigs. So being on So You Think You Can Dance Australia back in 2005 probably is the equivalent of Amanda blowing up on Instagram Reels now via Red Bull Dancer style. Now there are choreographers using breaking to bring contemporary dances into our world. Yippee, yeah. B-girls now, there are a lot more B-girls now than when I started. It has grown so much in Australia. Okay, we all know that Australia has no B-girls, or a very small amount, so this is probably going from like 3 B-girls to like 8 B-girls in the span of X, Y, Z years. But I don't know. Like I said, everyone's just dancing for fun out here, so who gives a fuck? You feel the music and the energy of the people. It's so moving. I think the most important thing is that you do it with your heart. Good. Me personally speaking, in regards to all of this, like, I can see the power of taking things into your own hands. You know, Amanda got her clip and is now getting her bag. Max is in his bag as well, trying to spawn a new swag, a new style for the global scene to enjoy. And I feel like you can do a case study on me maybe about this shitty old YouTube channel with a couple of my videos getting views, and by a couple I mean probably just the ray gun video that every one of you saw. I think the thing is, I'm looking forward to seeing more dancers take things into their own hands. I'll continue refining my videos and refining my approach to my dance practice, which now includes commentary and analysis, if you want to count that here on YouTube, in addition to just practicing. And look, I mean, I I fucking love to dance for fun. Like, come on. So for the work, like, I'm here on YouTube just doing my thing, and I'll continue to invest myself into this channel and invest myself into, and let me know what you think. If you're Australian, let me know your thoughts on the survey. Let me know if you think I'm full of shit, or let me know if you think I'm right or wrong or whatever. Let me know. Bye.